Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
For this is what the Sovereign Lord says.
Why do you need prophets to tell people who you are and what you want?
If you can justify everything that the God of the Bible has done, then you can justify any of your behavior.
A lot of this mentality is trickling into what is now mainstream right-wing Christianity.
I am capable of empathy greater than this God of the Bible.
This is a Bible that they tell kids. This is the good Lord. This is the good book. He is fantasizing about murder, mass murder.
Head over to sacrilegiousdiscourse.com right now to find out how to leave us a review or support us on Patreon.
Hey there, sinners and saints. It's your favorite Bible-bashing duo from Sacrilegious Discourse, and we need your help.
That's right, folks. We're raising funds for some heavenly equipment and a studio that doesn't sound like it's in the depths of hell.
Our current setup, let's just say it's more apocalypse than audiophile.
So if you want to hear us dissect the Bible without the background noise of demonic squirrels, chip in a few bucks.
We're aiming for $5,000 to upgrade our audio and build a studio worthy of blasphemous banter.
Donate today and help us spread the good word of atheism.
You can find a link right on our homepage, sacrilegiousdiscourse.com. Every dollar counts.
Even if it's from your collection plate. Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
I'm husband.
And I'm wife.
Together we're reading the Bible for the very first time.
We grew up without religion and wanted to know what all the fuss was about.
Well, what have we learned so far?
That God is a dick, and apparently some people believe in talking donkeys.
We're not trying to pass ourselves off as experts.
Nope, we're just reading the Bible for the first time and giving our first take reaction.
If you'd like to join us in this venture, you might consider starting at episode 1.
Otherwise, jump in wherever you like.
All right, let's go read the Bible.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Hey wife, did you know that Anchor is sponsoring our show?
Really? Don't we use Anchor to distribute our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts?
Yeah, and we are on just about every other platform available as well, thanks to them.
Why do we use Anchor as our podcasting service?
Well, they make editing and distributing our show a breeze.
What if one of our listeners wants to start their own podcast?
Then they should head over to anchor.fm or download the app to get started.
Awesome! You guys should go do that right now! Husband!
Wife!
Do you know what today is?
You're about to sing and tell us, I think.
I am. Today is Sunday. Time for Sacrilegious Book Club.
Yeah, that.
And we are covering Asimov's Guide to the Bible.
Yeah, we are. Mm-hmm. And what pages are we covering?
Today we are starting in the book of Exodus.
Oh, joy. We're starting a new chapter.
Yes, we are. And we're covering pages 118 to 130.
Did you want to cover any of the topics we might be going over, or no? No?
The way he sets it up, I told you this last time.
Oh.
It's a lot of geography and history, and we're starting the book of Exodus. And we'll talk a lot about pharaohs.
Okay. All right. Pharaohs. Got it.
Yeah.
Pharaohs.
Let's do pharaohs.
All right. Here we come. Pharaohs.
Okay.
Hey, wife. Do you like coffee in the morning?
I sure do, husband. Morning, noon, night. Which reminds me, I need to add that to our grocery list because we're running low.
Wait, before you do that, check out the website ungodlybrew.com where you can purchase a pound of your favorite flavor of coffee.
What if I want more than 1 pound?
Either order a larger amount, or better yet, get 10% off by setting up a subscription for every 2 weeks, or a month, or whatever works for you.
Did you set up something special for our listeners?
You know I did. Exclusive for our listeners, get an additional 10% off subscriptions by entering the code SACRILEGIOUSCOFFEE at checkout.
That's a hellishly good deal.
Ungodly Brew is hellishly good coffee.
Okay, in this edition of the Sacrilegious Book Club, I do want to say that this section of Asimov's notes is much shorter than the book of Genesis.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Whereas the last section, or the last chapter, I should say, on Genesis, was broken up. I broke it up into about 6 parts. The book of Exodus, I'm only breaking up into like 3, maybe 4 parts.
Got it.
So
Well, there's not as many areas to cover.
Right.
And, like, it all kind of kept within a certain boundary of things. And...
Yeah, it wasn't like the beginning of time through Noah.
Right, yeah.
Which is what Genesis was.
Quite an expanse to cover.
So for this one, generally, I'm going to be covering about 12-ish pages per section, whereas last time I was covering about 15 to 17 pages per section.
Okay.
So just that general note. This one's going to go a lot quicker, I think.
Got it. Okay.
So he starts out the book of Exodus with the word Exodus.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's a smart place to start it.
And Exodus just means a large exit, which,
Right.
duh.
Right. Kind of self-explanatory.
The book of Exodus, which we already said this before also, it picks up about 400 years after Genesis.
Right.
So just a reminder, that's where we're at, 400
Okay.
years later.
Got it. And we're no longer talking about clans, correct?
I believe not.
At least generally.
I believe you are correct on that we are now referring to people as people,
Got it.
individual persons.
Well, we certainly definitely refer to Moses as a person when we discuss
I'll
Moses.
get there in a minute.
Okay.
Also, I've covered this before as well, but Asimov points it out, so I just want to remind you guys that when the Jewish when the Jewish were going through this book and putting it all together, they always named things with the first sentence of the book. That was the name of the book.
Yeah.
So this book, the book of Exodus, they just called names, or the book of names.
Got it.
Whereas we call it Exodus.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there's that. So that's pretty much all that we want to take away from that first bit.
Okay, yeah.
And that was on page 118.
Okay.
So moving on, we're still on page 118. That's how short that little segment was.
Yeah.
The next one is Ephraim. I don't know if you remember, but that was Joseph's younger son.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
The other one was Manasseh.
Right.
Okay. Joseph's sons are mentioned in First Chronicles, but that is more likely a reference to the tribe generally than the person individually. And that's pretty much it.
Gotcha.
Okay? All else concerning Jacob's sons is extra biblical legend, meaning...
Those extra stories that we find occasionally and we're like, whoa.
Right.
That's crazy.
Stuff that's outside of the Bible.
Like that giant that like hitched right on the
oh, yeah.
the ark and stuff.
Yes.
That was
an amazing fairy tale.
Right?
Jewish fairy tales are awesome, you guys.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm down with them.
I want to read more about those.
Totally.
There is a book called The Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs.
Okay.
And Asimov mentioned this briefly. And so what I am about to tell you is actually not in Asimov's Guide to the Bible, but I was so intrigued by the Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs that I had to go look this book up.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So this little bit is just extra for your ear holes. Okay?
Awesome.
It's a book written about 100 BCE.
Okay.
Purportedly the deathbed statements of each of the 12 sons of Jacob.
Oh.
Okay? Which, again, that would be the 12 tribes,
Right,
the 12
yeah,
patriarchs, right?
Yeah.
So in the 13th century, they were introduced into the Western world. The Latin translation by Robert Grosseteste, or Grosseteste, or Grosseteste, which I think is the funniest way to say it.
Right.
He was the Bishop of Lincoln.
Okay, sure.
Whatever that means
Yeah.
for you. He believed it was a genuine work of the 12 sons of Jacob, and he accused the Jews of concealing the testaments, quote, on account of the prophecies of the Savior contained in them. Okay? Scholarship tends to focus on this book as a Christian work, whether or not it has a Jewish predecessor, because of that.
Got it.
But it is a work of fiction, clearly.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, here is what each of the 12 sons, their little story covered.
Okay.
And they were each covering a sin, like that son's greatest sin.
Yeah.
Okay. So Reuben was about lust. Simon was about envy.
Okay.
Levi was about arrogance. Judah was about courage, monetary greed, and fornication. Issachar was about abstinence. Zebulon was about ignorance and succumbing to peer pressure.
Okay.
Dan was about anger and lying.
Damn.
Naphtali is the only one that doesn't really fit in with this. That particular story had apocalyptic elements in it and some visions.
Interesting.
Okay?
Yeah.
Gad was, quote, put away hatred from your hearts and instead love one another.
That doesn't sound like a sin either.
No, but these are all lessons.
Got
so
it.
they're either saying don't be like this or they're saying do be like that.
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Asher's was follow truth with singleness of faith.
Okay.
Joseph covered chastity, and Benjamin covered deceit and fornication.
Okay.
Each son reviewed his own life in these stories, bewailed his shortcomings, and urged his children to avoid his sins and to practice virtue.
Wow.
Whatever moral and ethical values these lectures might have, says Asimov, they are valueless as history.
Got it.
Which
Yeah.
I love
Right.
quoting him because he just, I've said this before, every once in a while, he just slips in this, and that was trash.
Right. Why? I mean, it's not. It's part of the discourse, but
Sure.
it's not really like he says. It's not historically relevant. If you're taking the Bible as a study material, it doesn't really hold any weight as far as
The book itself, the existence of the book, is the entire value of it.
Right.
What it says in it, meh.
Right. But let's say that if they had included these at some point into the Bible, then we would
Sure.
be discussing them regardless.
Sure.
So
But
it's a matter of whether it's in the book or not, and then whatever.
even from
it
there,
is what it is.
yeah, I love the way Asimov phrases things.
Yeah.
Valueless as history,
Right.
regardless.
Right.
Okay, so that's that section and extra.
Right.
The next section is Pharaoh, and in this we're not talking about any particular Pharaoh except for the one of the oppression.
Okay.
The Pharaoh of the oppression. So
Got it.
whoever it was that oppressed the Israelites.
Right.
And this section starts on page 120, and it is by far the longest section I've covered so far. It is 4 pages long.
Wow.
Yeah, and the rest are sometimes maybe half a page to like 1.5 pages.
Gotcha.
Okay, so 4 pages was a lot.
Yep.
Okay. So the story of the Israelites continues, right? They prospered, multiplied, and grew numerous.
Right.
And do you remember me talking about the Hyksos, which was the foreign rulers that came in?
Yes.
And that's probably one of those was the one that welcomed Joseph with open arms and was
Right.
perfectly fine putting a
because they were
foreigner.
probably related at some level or something.
Right,
So-
right. He recognized in him some kind of kindred spirit.
Yeah.
In that they were both Asian foreigners to
Right,
Egypt.
right.
Okay, and again, this is not facts. This is just something that we're saying this probably could have happened.
Sure.
It's just one of those postulates.
Yeah.
Kind of things. So the Hyksos, having maintained independence, cut off as they were. So remember, I told you Egypt was kind of isolated, and
Yeah.
it allowed them to flourish for centuries on
Yep.
their own.
Yep.
The Hyksos ruled Egypt long enough to become, quote, complacent and rather decadent. So it's like they rose and then they got lazy and that's how they fell.
Gotcha.
Kind of like any great nation.
Right. Right.
So after a century and a half of foreign rule, resurgent Egyptians broke their power and then a native dynasty began. So the Egyptians were like, you know what? Enough of this foreign stuff. We are going back to our roots and we're taking power.
Right.
Okay. And a new pharaoh would likely have nothing but dislike and suspicion for the Israelites, being afraid that they would join with the invaders
Right.
due to their cultural and language ties to Asian invaders.
Sure.
Okay. So that suspicion led to discrimination, oppression, and eventually slavery.
Right.
And the more that they disdained them, the more that there was the Israelites feeling icked out over that. And so then they would fight that, and that would kind of like prove the oppressor's point.
Right.
And it just got worse and worse until finally it went where it went.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
So then follows a really long 2-page string of who could it be? Okay. Referring to the Pharaoh of the oppression.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Like, who was that Pharaoh in history.
Right.
And he's like, could it be this guy? No, probably not. Could it be that guy? No, probably not.
Got it.
I skipped a lot of that because I don't really feel like it's relevant to summarizing that section other than to say
It wasn't all these guys.
it wasn't all those guys that he suggested
Right,
that
yeah.
it might be.
Okay.
He says to study this better, you need to turn to Egyptian history because the Bible only cares about the plight of the Israelites,
Obviously.
which we've seen.
To my understanding, the Egyptians kept very detailed records of things. So
Yes and no, they did, yes, but that doesn't mean that they were accurate records.
Sure.
Each ruler
But
was
they would
going to
denote something that's going on.
right,
So.
like you're going to see a ruler saying he ruled, and that part would be true, but
Right.
what he accomplished would not necessarily, and so that muddies the waters a lot.
Got it.
And also because their names are repetitive, it's hard to tell which one did what.
Do you think they muddied the waters as much as Bathsheba and Solomon?
Oh, burn! No, I don't. Here's another quote from Asimov. There are those who suggest that only the Joseph tribes, Ephraim and Manasseh, were enslaved in Egypt, and that after they left Egypt, they joined a federation of tribes who were attacking Canaan directly from the desert.
Oh.
Which we've kind of thought that might be the case, right?
Sure.
That not in those exact words or terms, but
that there was other Israelites that they came across outside of Egypt.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that wasn't shocking, but I thought it was neat that you and I kind of thought
Touched on that,
and
yeah.
then Asimov is like, yeah, probably.
Right.
So that makes me feel like a smarty beans. There is also speculation that the pharaoh of the oppression was Raamses II.
Okay.
This is the one that Asimov kind of sticks behind a little bit.
You don't need to correct me or whatever, but don't some people associate Ramses with the devil?
That I don't know.
I could be wrong about that, but I thought that is something that...
The name Ramses means son of Ra.
Okay.
So it's a lot like the name Pharaoh, where it's not a proper name; it's more of a title that's bestowed upon them.
Got it.
So
okay.
I don't know.
That's fine. Like I said, it's not. I don't need the answer to it. It feels like I've heard something about that with regard to some meaning to biblical something or other.
I didn't come across that, but that doesn't mean that it's not out there.
Right.
So
right.
I don't know the answer to that. I've not heard that.
Sure.
But there's a lot I don't know.
Yeah.
So Ramses II was, quote, a vainglorious despot. So that means he was an iron-fisted ruler who was extremely proud and excited about himself.
Got it.
One might say Trump-esque.
Right.
Okay. He was in a long-term struggle with the Asians, he was always fighting them. They were always trying to invade, and he was always trying to fend them off and attack them back.
Right.
And so he would thus look down on the Israelites with suspicion, which I already said.
Do you think he had a tagline like "Mega, make Egypt great again"?
Probably. Probably.
Those damn mega heads.
Yeah. That would not surprise me.
Right.
This next point, it starts a new paragraph. If there was any pharaoh of the oppression at all.
Got it.
What? Right?
Well, oh no, could the entire story be contrived?
So I've got another quote from Asimov. I apologize, but this one is going to be a little bit quote heavy just because he summarized things so succinctly.
Yeah, sure.
It's easier sometimes to just pull out what he said and then put my 2 cents in around it.
Well, we want to hear from Asimov because we're reading Asimov.
Sure.
So, why not?
So he says, this last reservation is made necessary by the fact that there is no record outside the Bible of Israelites in Egypt, of their enslavement, and of their escape.
Interesting.
In particular, none of the events of Exodus are to be found anywhere in the Egyptian records uncovered by modern archaeologists. Modern as of his time when he wrote this, which was in 68.
I would be slightly curious to know whether or not, were there records of Israelite slaves? Do you know?
Not according to him.
Okay.
So, no.
All right. Okay.
No. Israelite enslavement. According to him, we've not found any of that either anywhere else or in Egyptian records.
Interesting.
Right.
Interesting.
Right. So, who knows? Did it happen? Who
Right,
could say?
right.
Who could say? So that's that section. The next one is Phithom and Raamses, or Raamses, or Raamses.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I'll explain that in a minute. In Exodus chapter 1, verse 11, it says, "And they built for Pharaoh store cities, Phithom and Raamses," or Raamses.
Okay.
So those two things are cities. And by store cities, it meant places where they stored stuff.
Got it.
In many Bibles, there is still a mistranslation. It refers to them as treasure cities. But they
Okay.
weren't treasures, they were storage.
Got it.
Okay. Phithom means patum in Egyptian, which is house of the setting sun.
Okay.
Ruins of this city were discovered in 1882 near the Suez Canal,
Interesting.
of which Ramses II built an early rendition. So he built an early rendition of the Suez Canal.
Huh.
Okay. And the ruins contain a statue of Ramses II, which kind of bolsters the claim that maybe he was that guy, because he's the only one of all the Ramses that would have put a statue of himself there.
Right.
Now, Raamses, like there's two A's instead of just Ramses.
Yeah.
There's an extra A. It's likely a city that Ramses had built in his own name. Similarly, he's the only guy that would have done that.
Got it.
So the fact that these two cities are mentioned in the Bible, and that Ramses II had the vainglorious stuff going on with himself.
It seems to lend some credence to it.
Sure. And that's why Asimov mentions it, and that's why I'm mentioning it.
Sure.
Okay?
But it could have been a much smaller scale than what they lead us to believe.
Sure. Sure.
So.
He also says, as a matter of fact, the pyramids, oddly enough, are nowhere mentioned in the Bible. So, like, when we have this picture in our head of the slaves the Israelite slaves were building pyramids, they weren't.
Huh.
They weren't building pyramids. They were building store cities. They were building buildings to, keep the storage.
Right.
Whereas, remember, the pyramids were only ever meant for the sarcophagus of the pharaoh. They were graveyards, basically.
Right.
So the slaves would not have been building those.
Got it.
Okay?
Who would have been building them?
I don't know, but it wasn't the slaves.
Okay.
That's not what the Israelites were building.
Got it.
And the pyramids were not mentioned in the Bible, according to Asimov.
Got it.
Okay?
Yep.
So that's that section. The next section is the Daughter of Pharaoh, and that starts on page 127.
Okay. Yep.
Ramses II commanded all Israelite boy babies to be drowned, so when a son was born to a woman of the tribe of Levi, she tried to save him by placing him in a small boat of papyrus reeds, setting that boat afloat on the Nile.
Right.
Remember that story, right?
Yeah.
And that's Moses,
It's
right?
famous.
Yeah. The boat and the baby were discovered by the daughter of Pharaoh, which is what this section is about, whom the ancient Jewish historian Josephus names as Thermoethes.
Okay.
Thermouths. Thermoethes?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the early church fathers gave the name as Maris instead. So, but we don't know who it was, right? So everybody's like, maybe her name was this, maybe it was that. But there's no telling who she was because the pharaoh had like 50 plus daughters.
Got it.
So who fucking knows?
Right.
Okay. So next section is Moses. That baby growed up.
Yeah.
Page 128.
Okay.
Okay. The Hebrew name of this child was Moshe. Mosheh. Mosheh.
Okay.
But then when it was translated to Greek, they have no SH sound. And also, most Greek names end with an S. So it went from Moshe to Moses.
Got it.
Okay?
So even the name Moses is a misfucking translation.
Yes. It's a Greek translation from Hebrew.
Interesting.
And the reason that's important is because we're wondering where that name came from and how, there's always a reason why one of these people has their name, right?
Right.
So most Bibles restore the Hebrew names, but it wasn't possible with Moses because it became too well known.
Right.
And there's no going back. You
Right.
can't put the toothpaste back in the tube on this one.
Sure.
So when the priestly editors saw that Moshe meant, was the original name, they were like, oh shit, we got to give a reason for what this name is.
Okay.
And why we're not going back on this one.
Right.
So it was very similar to the word Masha, which meant to draw out. So that became the official derivation of Moses' name. And in Exodus chapter 2, verse 10, Pharaoh's daughter called his name Moses, and she said, because I drew him out of the water. So they added that just to explain.
Right. Yeah,
that's why his name is.
Right.
Okay. But in Egyptian, Moses just means son. So
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Just go with whichever way.
Whatever floats your
whichever
boat.
one you like.
Or your baby carriage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's another quote from Asimov. Ancient legends are full of tales of children cast away for some reason or other who are miraculously saved and go on to become people of great importance.
Yeah.
In the Greek legends, this is the case with Perseus, Oedipus, and Paris, for instance. In the Roman legends, with Romulus. In the Persian legends, with Cyrus.
I'm going to go on so far to say is even the United States has their rags to riches stories. Like, people love pulling people up from the bottom to the top.
Right, it's true.
So
it's true.
It's a consistent theme throughout history.
These are specifically babies that were cast out and then, found and then became great.
Right. But don't we love the stories of like Hollywood child actresses that lost their way and then came back and made something of themselves?
Definitely.
I mean, like, there's still those kinds of stories out there.
The same kind of idea.
Right.
Yeah. So in Babylonian tales, do you remember Sargon of Agadi?
I remember the name. I don't remember why.
Okay. Well, he's got another quote here that I'm going to read. He was just one of the guys that Sargon of Agadi, who was he? He was just one of the early guys that we talked about as it could be him for something or other. Okay.
Got it.
That one of these old legends was based on.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So, quote, the priests in Babylon who were preparing the Hexateuch, which, that would be the Pentateuch plus one.
Right,
so that
right.
would be
Joshua.
Joshua. In its final form, must have heard the legend of Sargon of Agadi, and it is very likely that they appropriated it. Sargon of Agadi is described as the illegitimate son of a noblewoman who bore him in shame and secrecy and then exposed him by putting him in a small boat of reeds and letting him drift down the river. The baby was rescued by a poor man who raised him as his own son. The biblical writers, however, improved the tale. Moses was a legitimate son and was raised by a princess.
Right.
So, these stories have been around forever, as you said.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you remember, we watched some crazy DVD years back that a friend of ours gave us.
It was called Zeitgeist or something like that.
And it had crazy conspiracy theories in it. But one of the things that we loved in it was that they listed off all the stories similar to the Bible stories. And the Bible people, like the same stories repeat
particularly
over
the
and over
Jesus
and over.
one.
Right.
The Jesus stories.
And it's like that was one of the first times I was like, yeah, you know?
Yeah, the movie itself was crap, but it did introduce some neat things to think about and find elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I think it was called Zeitgeist, so if you can get your hands on it, definitely worth a watch.
I think it also had some conspiracy theory 9/11 shit in it.
Oh, it was complete trash. It was like the last section of it, you could stop when you get to that last section. The last section was trash.
It really was.
But everything up to that last section was really interesting.
Yeah, it was all right.
The religious stuff was cool, but then when it started going off, I was like, eh.
Yeah.
No, thank you. So that was that section. Okay, the next section is Midian, which is on page 129. Okay, another quote here from Asimov. As a grown man, Moses found himself sympathizing with the Israelite slaves, presumably out of humanity and possibly because he had learned of his own origins.
Right.
In a fit of anger, he killed an Egyptian overseer, and when this was found out, left Egypt hurriedly to avoid execution.
Right, as you would.
As you would. So that's the end of that quote. He fled to Midian, which is just outside Imperial Egypt. And he lived to be 120 years old.
Right.
And the Bible loves this because they're able to divide his life neatly into perfect thirds.
Got it.
From birth to age 40, he lived as an Egyptian prince.
Right.
Okay. Then ages 40 to 80, he lived as an exile in Midian.
Right.
And then ages 80 to 120, he lived as a leader of the Israelites.
Yeah.
And so isn't that just perfect and beautiful?
It really is, yeah.
Very unlikely
Right.
that it went down that way. But
I think we discussed that they didn't really... Remember how... Okay, so Moses murdered that guy, right? Mm-hmm. But then he came back and he did all these things against Pharaoh. They never really covered how he was able to come back without getting executed or anything like that. So.
Well, no, I think that there was only one witness and he, killed that witness or something.
Well, so then why run in the first place? Why did he run?
I don't know.
Because he did. He ran. He left.
Yeah, he did. But I don't remember. I think that... I don't remember why that
Maybe
wasn't
just
covered.
in case, right?
Yeah. I'm sure.
I'm going to stay gone for a few days and whatever.
And see what happens.
Yeah.
But he did live an extensive time, many years, as an exile. Before,
Maybe just people forgot, He's
Sure.
gone long enough, came back, was no one knows
and
now.
now I lead the Israelites.
Right.
So that was it for that Sacrilegious Book Club.
All right.
Next time, we'll still be in the book of Exodus, and we'll be covering pages 130 to 142. The subjects will be, again, Pharaoh, but this time, Pharaoh of the Exodus.
Okay.
And Horeb, Jehovah, Aaron, the magicians of Egypt, Passover, Abib, and the Red Sea.
All right.
And it's only going to be about 12 pages, so y'all can keep up.
There you go.
Get a book, read it.
All right. Perfect. Well, we will see you guys next week with the Sacrilegious Book Club. Mm-hmm. And until then, I guess we got our weekly replay today, but you probably aren't listening to that since you're listening to this singly. Mm-hmm. Or you are listening to this on the weekly replay.
Which is
one of the two.
Amazing.
And we'll see a lot of you tomorrow for the next chapter in the Bible, which will be
1 Kings chapter 11?
Yes.
Question mark?
Yes.
Yes, 11. Chapter 11.
All right, we'll see you guys then.
Bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe, leave an Apple review, join us on Twitter, support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.